welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonia, a self-taught designer, hand letterer, and illustrator. In today's video, I want to show you how to use this flowy lettering effect in Procreate using iPad Pro. If you're new to my channel, I create mini tutorials for learning Procreate and Adobe Illustrator like this. So if you like what you see, please subscribe. Okay, so let's get started. So today I'm doing another series of how did he, she do that series. So basically what this is I'm trying to learn new skills, new techniques by observing other artists' work and show you how do I go about practicing that skills. So today I'm going to introduce you to artist named Belinda You. So this is her Instagram. She is a hand letterist. She does more of the food illustration, but this is something that I noticed when I was scanning through her work. She does a lot of these flowy texture style lettering, something like this, something like this. That's pretty cool. Something like this. So I kind of want to show you my 3 simple steps that I did in order to create such effect. Okay, so here I cut a broad her piece. I wanted to use this one as a reference to creating my piece. I kind of brought it in so I could kind of do the side-by-side kind of thing. And then, so the first step is you want to obviously have to come up with a word. So I sketched a word saying flow. I wanted to use a different word. And that's a good way to practice. You don't want to directly copy necessarily. And again, this is just for practice purposes only, but it's sometimes good to kind of come up with your own lettering style and try to use that same technique, which is I'm going to be doing today. So here I have the word flow. So obviously we need to have a lettering, but if you notice, you could see that for a letter, she has kind of like the outline. And then there is this kind of white area. So typically where the shadow lies, given that the light is coming from this side, where the shadow is touching is basically colored in white or it's erased so that there's some white area there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So that's step 1. So I have the sketch and I have created an outline for that. So here I'm just using a studio brush. It is under inking and studio pen. So that's the brush I used, and I just went ahead and drew the outline. And then I am gonna create a solid color from there. So the way you do it is you have an outline, you're gonna duplicate that layer, and then I'm gonna color it. So let's just match this color here. So just color drop it. So now I have a solid. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring this layer down and I'm gonna call it a solid. So here, I'm gonna get rid of my sketch. So I have one layer for outline and I have another layer for solid. So in order to create this white area effect, there's many ways to go about doing that. I'm just gonna use a quick and dirty method, which I am just gonna go ahead and select my solid layer and just gonna go ahead and go in where the shadow lies and just erase it. So I have an eraser and I'm gonna use the same thing, inking the studio pen and just go ahead and erase. Okay, so I'm done. So I have created, so again, we still have the outline layer and then this solid layer. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna combine those two. So all you need to do is click the outline layer and then you could merge down. So now we have this in one piece. So that's step 1. Okay, so now step 2, we need to draw this flowy line. So here's the way I do it. So what I did here is I just went with a big one line that flows. So obviously it has to have this flow where it's on the outside of the letters, but it goes past through the letters, pass and then go outside and pass and go outside and then it passed the letter. So that's when you think, so the first one you want to do is you want to draw this big wavy line. And then as you can see, again, this is up to you how much detail you want to add. For her work, it's quite detailed, but I just went very simple and just added this additional line inside and outside of that main baseline. So you could go ahead and do that. Okay, so then now we're ready to actually ink these flowy effects. So just going back, if you look closely, obviously it is an inking style, and you can see that the beginning, let me see a good example here, the beginning of the flow right here, the line, and then the ending of the line, there's a taper. So obviously you want to select a brush that has that effect. For me, when I experimented some of the brushes that come with Procreate, the best one that worked for me is under inking, and I chose the technical pen. But instead of using the default setting, I have made some adjustment. So the way you do it is you're gonna just go ahead and duplicate this pen. So now if you see this Procreate mark, that means it's not the original one. And all I really did is, if you see the stroke taper, I just increased the amount of the taper, the pressure taper amount on the left side, this one, and I have adjusted the streamline, like so. So that's all I did with this pen, and then I started using that pen. Oops. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna obviously create an extra layer on top of the sketch so that you could draw over it. But if I quickly show you how the pen works, it really has kind of like a taper effect at the beginning and then taper effect at the end. So that's what I'm going for, and has that inking style. So it just takes a little time to practice, but that's what it does. And I'm gonna go ahead and use this particular brush that I adjusted in order to finish this flowy effect. Okay, so the way we're gonna do this is you just go in, and then for this main line, I just drew one big line, so I wanna break it down. So I'm gonna do something like, but it takes a little practice, and then you have to kind of adjust your pen setting, the size of the brush, something like this, and then again, we're gonna go around and do that. But again, the goal is you wanna make sure when you do draw, the edges are more tapered than this. And it's just based on your pressure. So you can see how it's tapered at the end, and then it's more thicker on the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that around everything. Okay, so I think I'm done. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn off my sketch layer, and it will look something like this. Obviously, by looking at it, you can make some adjustments, but you can just go ahead and add more lines too. But the key here is all the flow has to follow kind of the same line. Okay, so I'm done. So that's done. And that is the end of step 2. Okay, so the last step we want to go about doing is creating this white lines under where the flow is going. So what I mean by that is, if you remember from the lettering, given that the light is coming this way, wherever the shadow lies is white, right? So we kind of created that effect in our lettering. We're gonna do that very same thing on the flow as well. So if you notice, wherever the shadow is supposed to be is where the white area is. So I'm going to show you how to go about doing that using what's called a layer mask. So how do you create a layer mask is so right now, currently we have a solid layer, which is the lettering, and then we have this flow effect layer. So you're going to go ahead and select the solid layer, where the lettering is, and then you're going to click on that and select the mask. When you do that, it's automatically gonna create another layer called layer mask. So there's 2 things you need to know about layer mask. So here, layer mask, only 2 color works, black and white. The only thing you have to remember is black reveals and white conceal. I actually learned this trick from another artist. I will link her information down on the description box below, but basically that's all you need to remember. And once you select the layer mask, it actually automatically changes the color for you to black. In case it doesn't, all you need to do is go to your color selection, double click on the bottom where the black is, it will give you a true black. and that you're ready to reveal, meaning it's acting kind of like an eraser. If you use a white, again, if you double click on the white area here, it will give you the true white color, and that is gonna act, it's gonna conceal. So it's kind of like acting like a color where you're drawing. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the black, and in this case, I want to reveal, meaning that I'm gonna use this like an eraser under where the flow is touching so that I create this white effect. And I'll show you what I mean. Again, we're still using the same brush, the technical brush that we have adjusted. So all you need to do is look at the point where this flow or this line is touching the letter. So it'll be probably here. So you want to go in, and then it is revealing, right? It's acting like an eraser. Do the same thing for all the ones. The only thing you have to be careful here is, in this case, the line is out here and out here. So you don't have to worry about the tapering too much. But if the line is inside the letter like this, you want to make sure this looks like it's tapered, right? So you want to focus on drawing it like that, like so. So you're going to have to go do this on all of the lines where it's touching the letter. And that is step 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so that's done. So you could kind of see how this has this effect already, right? The last thing, which is optional for you, is if you notice she has some more extra dots, so you can go ahead and do that additional touch. And again, this is for practice purposes only, but you can see there's more lines. And once you're done with this, you can do another layer of going through the lines. So right now I'm just gonna add a few dots, and that is it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create, go back to my flow layer, and just gonna go ahead, select this color, and add some of those dots like so. Okay, so that is it, you guys. So this is how I created this very effect. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.